So glad you stuck with us here for 2021 Mountain West Men's Basketball Media Days. Bridget Howard, Jesse Kurtz here to make one final campus stop on our first day of our 6-campus tour. And we'll make it at the Air Force Academy to bring in the head coach of the Falcons, Joe Scott. Joe, you're back for your second stint. This is your second season. The first season was difficult on so many levels because of the fragmentation of the season, hard to get traction. How much are you looking forward to, Coach, of being able to hopefully play a seamless schedule and get back to basketball the way it used to be?
Yeah, Jesse, I mean, I think you're 100% correct. I mean, last year was extremely difficult. We know for all the reasons. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, I'm really looking at this as year one. This is year one. I know we were fortunate enough last year to play games. I don't know if we had a quote unquote season per se, because, you know, there was no April, May, June, July, August. You know, I didn't really start to coach the guys until sometime in August. So I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, we've had that sense of normalcy, you know, since the end of last season, pretty much. So we've had that type of postseason and summer and preseason that lends itself to sort of a year one type situation. You know, I think it was Wake Forest coach Steve Forbes, you know, at ACC Media Day, and he basically said exactly what I'm saying right now for the same exact reasons. When I heard him say it, I was like, you know, that's 100% right. And it lends itself to like a very sort of upbeat and positive, you know, outlook heading into the season. But we've been sort of having it that way ever since, I would say, the end of last year, but most specifically when our freshmen finished up their summer and basic training and we could get our entire group together. We've really had that type of approach, and so I've been very positive about it.
That's great news. If you have a question for Coach Scott, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll get you in queue. Coach, now that you have had some workouts with everyone who will comprise your roster, what are some of the things that excite you the most about this group?
Well, I mean, probably the most exciting thing is, and oftentimes it's true for everybody, but here it's doubly true this year, you know, is our freshmen. I mean, we have a lot of them, but I think there's a lot there. There's a lot to work with. There's a lot of different parts of the, you know, different pieces, whether that's size, whether it's speed, whether it's size in the backcourt, whether it's size up front. I just think there's a lot there. And in this process, you know, that we're in, having a freshman class like that we're going to lean on very heavily is critically important, because we're building, you know, this, and I think we have a really good group. And as I say that, I've been really happy with AJ Walker, his approach, how he's sort of embracing what I'm saying to him, how I'm coaching him, you know, as a senior, and probably, you know, the main upperclassmen we have, besides say Nick Jackson. I mean, AJ is a huge part, but he's been really good with these freshmen. He's been really good with how I'm asking him to play. And I think those would be the two things that I'm most excited about right now.
Our first question for you, Coach, comes from Jake Gayden from KOAA TV in Colorado Springs. Jake.
Hey, Coach, hopefully you had a great offseason. You mentioned it earlier that a lot of influx of this roster, new faces, new guys getting new starting roles. Remember last year you said that, hey, we were still figuring out this team late into the season due to injuries and COVID. Do you feel like you have a better grasp of who this team is this year?
Well, I think I have a better grasp, but that grasp is tons of young guys. You know, we are going to rely and play a lot of freshmen, rely on them and play them. And I'm definitely doing that. And so I do think we know that. And then what that does is, you know, it puts our upperclassmen in certain types of roles. And I think that is what I know. That is how we're going to move forward. And I think that's going to help our upperclassmen. And it obviously it's incumbent upon them to help these young freshmen we have come along, move along, and get better as we go through the season.
With AJ Walker, simply put, what's his ceiling? How good can he be this year for you guys?
Well, I think a lot of that is tied up in our ability sort of to, again, put pieces around him and put him in positions that are best suited for him. You know, like I said, all teams have a leading scorer. You know, teams that are 0-1 and 27 have a leading scorer. Teams that are 27-2 have a leading scorer. You know, AJ to me's most important role is going to be, you know, putting the ball in the basket, but having those points be important to our team's success. So in order to do that, I got to have other guards that we can give the ball to and take that sort of role out of AJ's hands to put him in the role where he can really have the greatest impact on our team, which would then be, you know, scoring meaningful points, scoring those points in the right manner that are best for the team, as his leadership helps these younger guards help him. You know, he has to help the younger guys, these younger guards. And I know that these younger guards have the ability to put him in a position where he can best help the team. And it's going to be, you know, a year, and we're doing it right now, of sort of having that come together so that we put guys in the best positions for who they are and what their games are. And if we're successful with that, then I think AJ can have a really good year in a very meaningful way.
We'll now go to Brent Brigham from the Colorado Springs Gazette.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Brent.
You have so little experience coming back. Really, only Nick and AJ were part of your, you know, normal rotation last year. Is there a silver lining to that, because you play such a unique style, and now pretty much everybody who's going to play will have only played under you?
Well, I think in these situations, whenever you take over a program, like I said, last year, I'm not even counting that year. And one of the reasons is to what your question is, this is year one, because so many of these guys, we are their only coaches. We did recruit them. And that's a completely different dynamic. And as you say that, we have a few guys back who have played serious minutes, and we're going to try to bring those things together, but in a way where I think all our guys know, this is what we're doing. We're doing it in this fashion. It's what's best for the program. And there are upperclassmen who are here who can help us with that. But in the long run and in the grand scheme of things, these freshmen and younger guys really have to come along for us to get this program to where we're striving to get it to be.
And are you ready to give some names to those guys? I know your roster only lists sophomores and older. Who are some of these freshmen who are going to immediately step into roles?
Well, there's some, yeah, I see here. Well, I mean, there's freshmen. We have a freshman guard, Ethan Taylor, 6'4" from Houston. He's going to play. I can't put a number on it right now, but I mean, I would say 5, 6, 7 freshmen. We're going to be trying. We're going to be getting in there to play. So he's one of them. I got another 6'4" guard, Jake Heidebreter, out of Indiana, is doing really well. We have these two, Lucas Mowerman's a local kid, 6'10". We have good size across the board. And, we're really right now, what we've been doing, Brent, is we're practicing every day. And the guys are sort of poking their heads up, where I told the guys yesterday, I'm getting to the point where, okay, who are the top 10 or 12 guys? And this is how you put yourself in that mix. And like I said, we could have 6, 7 freshmen in that mix right now, but those 3 guys are 3 that I would say right now are doing that. But there's another 3 or 4 that are right there. And as we keep going through this preseason, and I keep stressing to our guys, it's not just the preseason, it's who's going to keep getting stronger through November, who's going to keep getting stronger through December, January, because they are freshmen. We are at the academy. We know what that experience is like. Who's going to be able to handle that, grow, mature, get stronger as we go through the year mentally and physically. And that'll be a sort of an ongoing thing with those young guys as we go through the year.
Okay. One more thing for me. The fact that you have Nick Jackson as your representative today, what does that say? Obviously when AJ would have been an option, what's that say about what you see Nick's role being as a player, as a leader, and as a representative of your team?
Well, I mean, I think we all know AJ, like I just spoke about earlier, is doing a great job right now. I thought it would be good to have, to your question, have Nick be here to have this kind of experience. And also in some way, besides me saying to him on the court, besides me exerting him to, work harder, get whatever the things are that I say to him on the court to get him to improve, to get better, have an experience like this where maybe he's here and, my words, I know have meaning to him, but now that he's here and sitting here and he's got to be up here talking, well, there is some type of leadership role that comes with that. And for me, that leadership role is really actions, is really behaviors and doing what I'm asking him to do on the court and to do it all the time and embrace it. And, if he does that, then he's going to grow and he is going to have an impact on our team, and he is going to help the younger guys. So, these are just different ways, I think, to, like we all want all of our guys to grow. This is just another way, how can we get Nick to really grow and take a step forward, as he's going into his junior year.
Coach, will now go to Jeff Kramer from the Albuquerque Journal. Jeff?
Hey, Joe, it's possible you can't really answer this question because of the uniqueness of last year, but I'll give it a try anyway. Is there anything you know about this league right now that either surprised you or you just didn't know about from your first stint in the league? Did you learn anything last year about this league that you didn't know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I learned anything. I think, in a weird year, I was able to experience, how the league has changed. It hasn't changed in terms of the quality of the coaching. It hasn't changed in the quality of the players. I think what's changed is, almost every one of these teams in the league, which they're all very good. I think every one of them every year now sort of has a different look to them. I mean, there's a lot of transfers in this league. Obviously it's across the country. But I think I said to somebody the other day, the Mountain West might not be a Power 5 league in April, or in the early signing period, or in names, when kids go to college. But this league becomes a Power 5 league when that class becomes juniors and seniors, because so many kids transfer into this league from Power 5 schools. So that's why it's such a good basketball league. I think that's one way. It's different than my first time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just the way that's keeping this league being one of the best basketball leagues in the country, one of the top conferences in the country in college basketball.
And sort of follow up to that, is this league a 3-bid league possibly this year? I mean, do you think 3 is a number that can come out of this league?
I think definitively. I mean, I know everybody says Colorado, all the teams at the top, rightfully so. Not happy. I'm not happy about this, but personally, I thought it was good to see Nevada 3rd, because I really think Nevada's got a chance to be really good. Now, I do know that they are getting some recognition across the country, but they have everybody back. They probably added a transfer, but the bulk of who they are is going to be who they were last year. And obviously, I'm a big believer that if you can be that way, if you look at Colorado State, they got everybody back. The bulk of those guys, they had a transfer. I think Nevada's like that. I think when you have teams like that, that makes you an NCAA tournament team. And then obviously San Diego State, with who they are and how they're able to do what they do year after year after year, they're right up there. And then I think it's going to be a battle of other teams that are good teams, in Boise and Utah State, and Fresno State's going to be good. It's going to be a battle to see, out of those next 3-4 teams, how good they are and how good of years they have. Cause I think they're really capable of having really good years.
Thanks, Joe.
Coach, you mentioned earlier one of the freshmen that's impressed you is Jake Heidebreter from Indiana. He was the 19th best prospect in his class in Indiana, according to 247 Sports. How big of a get was he for your program, and how do you see him really impacting this team this year?
Yeah, I mean, I know he was, when we recruited him, we knew he was a good player in high school. I don't always look at those rankings. I mean, it's nice for him. And we knew he was good. He fits our mold of what we're looking here in terms of what we value. I mean, he's got really good size for a guard. He really knows how to play. He has a game. He's not typecast. He can do a little bit of everything. He's easy to play with, which is very important for us here. I mean, he's easy to play with. He shares the ball. He knows how to play. He helps others. And I just know, you know, the thing that was really good for me and for us is, you know, when you come straight in out of high school here, it's hard. You know, there's a lot of challenges here, whether that's academically and in a lot of areas. I've been really impressed with his ability, sort of, you know, a little intestinal fortitude, a little inner toughness that he has, because he's playing well. He's adapted really well, and he shows up every day, and he's a good basketball player. He doesn't let things bother him, and that's why he's doing well. And that's a skill in and of itself. You know, we got to have that across the board from all our guys. It's just good to see a freshman like him exhibiting those things this early.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a follow-up question for you from Brent Brigham from the Colorado Springs Gazette.
Yeah, you mentioned those freshmen and direct enter. What was the prep school like last year? What kind of schedule did they play? And then when you look at these 5, 6, or 7 freshmen, how many of those guys did come over from the prep school?
Yeah, the majority of them are from the prep school. I mean, obviously, that year was different for them. It wasn't your normal, typical prep school year with the number of games played. But just like here at the academy, I think they did a really good job down there of being able to do the best they could to get whatever kind of season they could have. I've just been really impressed with these guys just in terms of their approach. They do well. You know, in all the areas. We're able to focus on basketball, which is critical. I mean, that's how I recruit. You got to be able to focus on basketball. I'm not, you know, the academics and the other things here, you know what, we expect you to do them and do them well, because basketball is really important. And I've been really impressed with those guys and how they have been gone about their business. But the majority of them are from the prep school. But then we have another, direct kid in from Florida, Ezra Mckenna, who's 6'8". He can really shoot the basketball. He's got a good body on him. So I've been impressed with his ability along the same lines as Jake, just in terms of, you know, sort of that toughness that I say, that ability to handle this place. And, you know, he still has to get a little better of every day, come down and, you know, be ready to go. But I mean, generally, done a really good job. And I'd say across the board, my freshmen and our freshmen have been really good in that way. And that's what's required for you to be able to play immediately. And like I've said, they're going to get thrown in there. They're going to get thrown in the fire. And I'm looking forward to seeing those things. And, you know, we'll get our first crack with that when we have some of these scrimmages that we're going to have. And because that's when you really find out a lot, when you see different faces and, you know, different guys in different uniforms. And we'll be getting to that pretty soon. So I'll keep learning about these guys, but I've been very happy with what I've seen from them.
Did you have time after you were hired? I think it was April 1st to get any of those guys into the prep school for last year, or were these all guys who had already signed?
No, we got, I think 7 of them after April. You know, like you said, it was April 1st, and we were able to go ahead and get 7 of those guys who were down part of that prep school class. So it is a mix of guys who were already coming, along with guys that we got. And like I said, they just did a very good job across the board last year, where we had a good year with that class, and we sort of have to keep that going. We added a couple others directs, and, you know, it's a good class, but we got to keep going. And hopefully, you know, 2 years from now, we'll be saying it was a really good class.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. Last question for you, Coach Scott. You added a new member to your staff in Lieutenant Colonel Matt McCraw, who was a terrific player for you, a class act, and handled himself the right way, achieved at a high level. Why do you bring him in? Probably an obvious question, but what value has he added to those players as they start integrating himself into your program and the academy as a whole?
Yeah, well, the value he brings is, Jesse, is everything that you said, is who he is as a person. You know, having recruited him and coached him, having that connection with him is critical first and foremost. But then I knew when I got hired, that I wanted to have someone who had played for me, who was, you said a lieutenant colonel. It could be a major, but someone who was a really good player, played on those good teams that I had coached. But I know it's critical for these guys to see him, and I have Mark Hollum as well on my staff who played, to see him and Mark and know that, what, this is about basketball and it's about being good. It's about education. It's about, service. But we're going to learn all those things through basketball. And, you get no better type of person to exhibit that to our players, and to back up the things that I teach them and try to coach them to how to be, how to play. You get nobody better than that when you get a guy like Matt McCraw out there and who's been through it, who's been in their shoes, who knows what it's like and who played for me, to know, okay, this is how, this is why. So he's been a great addition to the staff, professionally, personally, how he's gotten along with all the other coaches. It's been a seamless transition. And I couldn't be happier having him on the staff. And, I look forward to sort of his relationship with the players and his role in the program, just continuing to grow as he grows in the position.
Like, terrific ad. There's no question about it, on the 03-04 team that won a Mountain West championship. And before we let you go, congratulations, Joe, on that team under your direction, and played by Matt McCraw, a inductee into the Air Force Athletics Hall of Fame. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jesse. It was a great night, great weekend to have all those guys be back. I mean, I had them all over my house, and, my wife was there, and just the times, it's just unbelievable when you have a team like that to see those guys interact and laugh and tell stories. And, it was just a really, really humbling thing, but just really nice for me to be in their company again, all together, and just enjoy being together and having it come from this common bond that we share. That's really special.
It was a special team, Joe, and I appreciate your time here today. Good luck this season. Look forward to seeing the Falcons play.
All right. Thank you, Jesse.
You bet. That's Joe Scott, the head coach of the Air Force Falcons. And he mentioned what a special group that was. And Matt McCraw, a key cog in that wheel, now a Hall of Fame group. Mountain West Players of the Year, Nick Welch and Antoine Hood and Tim Keller. I mean, the list goes on how special that team was. And, let's see if Joe Scott can't recreate the magic and start building this program like he did not too long ago, and make this team a contender once again in the Mountain West. And, he's got a couple of guys that can help him this year and some freshmen along the way.
Absolutely. There's nearly 16 freshmen that will be added to this Air Force team this year. And we talked about a few of them there with Coach, and specifically he highlighted Jake Heidebreter from Indiana and a couple others. And so there's definitely some freshmen that will be getting playing time this season, as Coach said. And so it'll be a different team this year, but he does have some key returners in Nick Jackson and AJ Walker being able to contribute and make this Air Force team what it has been. And now we will get to hear from Nick Jackson, the junior forward from the Air Force Academy. Nick, welcome to the 2021 Mountain West Men's Basketball Media Days. How are things going for you?
Thank you, guys. Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, you're heading into year 2 under Joe Scott, your junior season. What are you kind of seeing from this team this year so far in preseason?
Honestly, I'm seeing a lot of fight from this team. The returners, we knew from the day that we ended our season last year, we knew we had a long way to go. We had a lot to change, a lot to do, just in terms of our mentality and our ability to grow. And so over these past few months in the off season, and even when we got the freshmen here with us, it's been a complete change of mindset, seeing how hard we can go, working as hard as we can.
Well, this is a reminder that if you have a question for Nick, to please raise the hand button to enter the queue. And we have some questions ready for you right now. So first we'll go to Jake Gayden from KOAA TV in Colorado Springs.
Hey, Nick, hopefully you had a good offseason. First question for you is Joe was just saying that he's going to kind of thrust you into a leadership position this year, one of the only upperclassmen on this year's team. So my question is, what is your leadership style like, and how do you feel like you can help this team moving forward and get to where you guys want to be this year?
Well, I like to lead by example, and part of that is learning through that process. You know, I obviously being a junior now, I haven't been in a leadership position as an upperclassman yet. So I'm teaching myself as I go, but in doing that, I have to be able to. I can fail, but I gotta be able to not do that again. I gotta be able to learn from it, show these guys how you come up from failure, show that these things can happen, but most importantly, you have to recover. You have to be better next time. So just being a leader in knowing how to recover, knowing how to move forward, I think I can do a really good job with that with the team.
And then with this freshman class, you know, it's hard transitioning from high school basketball or prep school basketball to major Division I basketball. What have you seen about this freshman class that gives you hope that the future is bright for the Falcons?
Honestly, their sense of urgency has been unmatched from any group of young guys that I've seen. They came in, and of course, we have a handful of guys from the prep school, as well as direct. And the way they've been able to come in and accept the challenge, Coach Scott and all the rest of the team challenged them at the beginning of preseason when they came in. How much can you grow? How good can you get before we start practices in the season? And they've all took that to heart immediately. And they've been able to show that they can do as much as anybody else can. They can grow as much as possible.
And my final question is depth-wise. Last year, when you or AJ were not on the floor, it was hard to figure out who was going to contribute, who was going to put the ball in the basket. How do you feel the depth is for this year's team moving forward?
I think we have a chance to have a lot of guys that can make a real impact. I know Coach touched on it, and like I said, with the sense of urgency that the young guys have shown, not just the freshmen, but like the sophomores who might not have played a lot last year. They've shown that if we ask them, they'll be willing to make the steps and the improvements to be able to play. So yeah, honestly, the way they've progressed so far this early on into the season, we have faith that they'll be able to be guys that we can rely on.
We'll now go to Brent Brigham from the Colorado Springs Gazette.
Yeah. Nick, last year you had to defend the 5 quite a bit, and I would assume that took a lot out of you on the other end. Within this freshman class, or maybe some other guys who just hadn't played a lot, is there someone else who can step in and play the 5, at least defensively, and kind of free that from you, or do you think that's still going to be part of your assignment?
I still believe that's going to be part of our assignment. Obviously, with the kind of defense we play, it's not entirely man-to-man, but that is pretty much 90% of the matchup that I'll be having. But we do have guys that can come in and play. Coach touched on it. We have a couple of 6'10" guys, like Lucas Moorman. He's coming in. He's shown that he's a pretty good rim protector and just defensive guy one-on-one. And so we definitely have guys that we can rely on both ends, can kind of take the pressure off of some of the returners like myself and AJ, and can be an impact on both sides of the ball.
And what kind of competition is there between the upperclassmen and the freshmen? Because obviously guys who have been in the program don't want to just hand over their positions. So what has that dynamic been like?
Honestly, it's been leaps and bounds so much better for everyone's development. When you have freshmen that have the chance to play, they have the fight in them to go and try to outwork you. As an upperclassman, I'm not getting outworked, so I'm going to push myself that much harder, and they're trying to outwork me. So it's just we keep building each other up and up. One guy gets closer, the other guy separates. They get closer and closer. And we're able to develop so much more when we actually have that competition. Everyone feels like they have the ability to get in the game. They're going to work that much harder to make it happen.
And this might be a trivial thing, but did it mean something for you to be asked to do this? You know, on a team that has AJ Walker, who's been a 4-year starter, for coach to want you to be representing the team today. What did that mean to you?
As far as a leadership standpoint, it shows that, yeah, coach is relying more on me in terms of a leader, and not just going out there to play. And so it shows that it's a little more trust in me, and it just means I have more responsibility, and that's the responsibility that I'm happy to gain, and see what I can do with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Nick, last question for you. For some people, when they look through the media guide or the box score, they may think, is there a typo with your name? It's K before C. So can you give us a little background on the spelling of your name and how that came about?
Yeah, just to get it out of the way for anyone that asks in the future, I know it will be asked. It is not a typo, Nikcolas. I'm actually get that from my mother. Her name's Nicole, Nickcole. That was it was an idea that my grandfather had. His stepdad, who played a really important role in his life, his last name was Cole. And so when naming my mom, they wanted it to be Nick Cole with kind of like the two separate Nick and IK and the COLE to have that Cole in there. Because he just meant a lot for him and he was a big part of his life. So my mother decided to pass that spelling down to me as well. So that's why NIKC.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Nick, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today, and we're excited to see you and the Falcons get back on the court this season.
Thank you so much.